welcome. I'm here talking with the author of the Assertiveness Guide for Women, How to Communicate Your Needs, Set Healthy Boundaries, and Transform Your Relationships. A little sneak peek of the upcoming book. I'm here with Dr. Julie Hanks, so thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thanks. So, I just had a few questions about your book. What inspired you to write this book?
My own life and my clinical practice, really. I struggled to find my own voice in my life. Like, I grew up in a big family. I did a lot of caretaking. So personally, it was through therapy that I really found who I am and what I have to say. And I've worked a lot with women, young adult women to, middle-aged women in my practice. And that seems to be a common theme, is what do I want? What do I think? How do I feel? We're socialized to think about what other people need and what other people want. And that's such a great part, I think, about being a woman, is learning to be aware of people around you, around me. But we can't exclude ourselves from that circle of care. And in fact, we're the primary person responsible for creating the life that we want. And yet we're taught that's not okay, or somehow that's selfish, or, you're being, being selfish or whatever. And so that's part of, I'm really passionate about helping women find their voice in their own lives and in the world, because I know how powerful it's been for me on that journey.
That's great. As you're talking about that, I work with a lot of young women and teenage girls in particular who have a lot of negative thinking about themselves. So would this be a book that they could benefit from reading as well?
Definitely. So one thing that makes it unique, Mallory, is that I talk a lot about attachment style and our early relationship template. So what we learned about ourselves and our communication style in our early relationships. And then also I talk about some of the barriers, the societal barriers, like women. I mean, we haven't even been able to vote, like really have a voice it's been, around 100 years. So that's pretty new. Like, women have been silenced systematically for a long time. And so it's important, I think, for young women to recognize, like, this is a societal issue. It's not a personal weakness. Like, oh, I just don't know what I feel or what I want, or have these negative thoughts. Of course you do. That's us. We've been socialized to silence ourselves and support other people. And, we need support. So you're not alone, I think, is one thing. And then in the book, kind of recognizing what you're bringing from your family relationships and those patterns, and not in a way to blame, but in a way to be enlightened. Oh, wow, my parents were really critical. And so I've internalized those. And, oh, so that's really not me. I'm really not worthless. I'm really not stupid. That's how my parents dealt, part of how they parented me, I'm bringing with me. And then being able to sort through that, make sense of it, and decide, do I want it or not? And then how to move forward. So those are just a couple of thoughts I think that might be helpful for young women and teens and young adult women.
Yeah, that's great. That actually leads me to my next question. So thank you for that. But I know you talk a lot about your own interpersonal experiences throughout the book, different times in your life, different relationships. And one that really stood out to me was your experience with some childhood bullying and how that impacted you even later in life. So I'm wondering, without giving too much away, that's in the book, of course.
I'm happy to share whatever. So ask away.
But what advice would you have for somebody who, somebody who is a teen girl who's going through something like that, whether it's within their own family or within their friendships, how to navigate that? Because as an adult, you have a lot more freedom than as a teenager.
Yeah. So a teen who's being bullied, right? Yeah. I think one of the main things that I did was I I told an adult, I talked to my parents, so they knew, like, this is what's happening. I need help. I need some support, because when you're not legally responsible for yourself, right? You need that. I mean,
Yeah.
we all need support, but they went and talked to the principal and, intervened on my behalf because I was pretty powerless in that situation. So that, I think, is really important, is do not keep it to yourself and just suffer. I think this is the next thing I'm going to say is really hard to do in the moment, but it's been part of the gift of going through that situation, is that I developed empathy. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting tearful. Like, if I see someone who's being mistreated, I am going to, and I teach my kids that you go stand up for that person, because everybody is valuable, no matter how different they are. And so for me, that was just a huge gift to be able to be on that side and know it really is painful to be alone. It's painful to be picked on. It's painful to be left out. I felt it, and I don't want anybody else to feel that, whether they're a kid or an adult. And so I've really tried to teach that to my kids. And I think that that's one of the benefits that can come out of a really difficult situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and it shows. I mean, so for those who don't know, I had the wonderful experience of getting to meet Dr. Julie Hanks this May at the most awesome conference for
So
therapists.
fun.
Which is amazing. And I can attest, like, you are super, super sweet, super kind. It comes through. It shows.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah. So speaking of that, actually, one of the things you talked about at the conference, you actually mentioned in the book, which really stuck out for me, and that's listening to the gift of resentment.
Yes.
That was so powerful when you spoke about that, and then reading it again just kind of reinforced that for myself. Mm-hmm. So can you explain a little bit about what that is and how that works?
Yeah. So I'm letting you in on something. I frequently feel resentment. But what I've learned, what I learned is that that's actually a gift and really important information, that I'm not setting a boundary or that I'm not asking for what I want. And so now I'm really grateful for that, because when I start getting that, and I think I shared it in the context of business kinds of thing, when there's some, but in my own life, when I'm, say I'm resenting a friend, I have to think, okay, wait a second. How am I not setting a boundary? Maybe I need to set an emotional boundary. Like, okay, I need to not hear so much of, what the trauma, or, your difficulties. Let's go out and play and have fun this time. Or, those kind of things. That resentment can give you a clue to where you need to be assertive. And I think that was a big aha for me in my own life. And that instead of going, oh, I'm such a grumpy person, why am I so irritable? Why am I so, to go, oh, thank you. That's really important information that my emotions are giving me. And I can take action from that.
Yeah, I think that's so true, because it's so easy to get stuck in that, like, I'm feeling this negative, so that means I am this negative.
Right. I'm horrible. I'm just horrible. It's like, no.
It's not even about that. It's just, something needs to change.
Right. And I, in the book, I do talk a lot about the importance of emotions and using them to have the courage to speak up and ask for what you want and get what you need. Yeah.
So I know, the book is coming out. When this goes live, it'll be August 1st, which is the same day the book is coming out. It's really exciting. So you should definitely go get your book. But I understand that you're offering a free chapter.
Yeah. If you go to assertivenessguide.com, you can get a free chapter just to kind of get a feel for the book and see if it's something that you think might be helpful. So assertivenessguide.com.
Yes, so I will include a link to that in the description below. And yeah, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time and, talking about your book. I found it really helpful and enlightening, personally and professionally. So.
Oh, good. Thank you. It's vulnerable to kind of put stuff out there, and my hope is that it is meaningful to someone. So that means a lot, Mallory. Thank you.
Good. Anything else that we didn't talk about that you think is important to mention? Or?
Yeah, I think that just I would tell people listening, watching this, that your voice matters. Because so often we think our voice doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter in our own lives, and it doesn't matter in the world, and it actually does.
Oh, that's so true. I have like 3 clients that pop to mind that are like, I hear that.
Yeah, and I think
Never
we all
for me.
do, right?
Yeah.
I need to remind myself of that, and a part of writing this book is being brave and using my voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank
And
you, Mallory.
definitely go get your book. I'll include a link below, but yeah, if you have any questions or anything, give me a call, shoot me a message. I'm sure, Dr. Hanks has some information on her website as well. But yeah, you should definitely check out the book. I highly recommend it.
Thanks so much, Mallory. Take care.